right, it is time for EMP review on this Wednesday, September 15th of the great year of our Lord, 2021.
Hey.
Chef Brandy, how are you?
I'm doing well, Chauncey. How you doing?
It's the year of our Lord, 2021.
All right.
So, how can I not be doing well
You make a
in the
valid
year
point.
of our Lord? Now,
What is the reference here?
no, that's what they used to call it years ago. They used to,
I've heard that before, but I'm like, is there like some new show that's referencing
no,
it now? Okay.
I don't know why I'm saying that right now, but hey,
It
now,
came to you.
I'm just hosting and having fun, so I'm here. And I'm here with not only chef, but entrepreneur expert Brandy. And we're both joined off cam by Drea. It's like Sega. Remember Sega?
Sega.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, with all of that nonsense out of the way, let's get down to business here.
Yes.
Brandy, entrepreneur meal plan review. How do we get it? What's the point of it? Just give us these benefits, my friend.
Yeah, so Entrepreneur Meal Plan Review is a feature within the Entrepreneur Meal Plan membership. Entrepreneur Meal Plan is a community for people looking to do business and life well. So how do we do that? We help you to infuse more plants into your diet to increase your profits and productivity. And we give you meal plans, recipes, shopping lists, resources, different events, connect you with people, and we come here every week to show you simple ways. We also have a gallery of replays of these videos within the membership, so if you missed them live, you can access them on demand, as they call it. And we do all of this cool stuff to help support the journey of entrepreneurship for a low investment of $30.23 a month.
Yeah, very good. And this month it's all about we love potatoes. Las papas. Yes, we do. So today, Brandy, you have for us savory potato hash, which already brings up two questions. Is there sweet hash? And by hash, you don't mean hashish. Now, we got to watch out nowadays. Brandy is talking about the dish. Okay, all of you people, stop it. It is not hashish in this recipe.
No, none.
So, is there a sweet hash?
Yeah, you could use sweet potatoes and play up the sweet notes a little bit more with like those bright spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, and play it up.
Cinnamon
like
is a bright spice. That's what you call it.
Mm-hmm. It has like it has a very like high note to it. It brightens up a dish.
It's the flute of spices.
Yes,
the piccolo.
Is.
Okay. So before we sound like we're on hashish, go ahead, Brandy. Get this set up, and we will see the savory potato hash. I can't wait.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we're gonna do some potatoes. Let's see. We'll start with potatoes. Wash potatoes, well, soaked and then scrubbed, right? That's pretty much the process. And we're gonna cut these petite style. What's that mean? Small. And why are we gonna cut them small? So that they cook fast. And you know how I love to encourage us to use our lines while we're cutting. This is an Idaho potato. Pretty common potato. Tends to be the potato of preference for mashing and also baking. Mainly because of its texture and its size. Right? So I personally like to cut these little black spots out. Now, I don't know if it changes the taste, but growing up, that's what my grandma used to do. That's what my mom used to do. And I'm keeping the tradition going. All right. So we cut these in lines. We're going to stack them up. The reason we're going to stack them is make this cutting easy. Get this one out of the way. Right? We're going to cut them pretty thin because we want them to be what? Petite, small. Right? So then we turn them again and we chop. A lot faster. These things are a little slippery. Now, you know, you've probably seen me cut an onion a million times on EMP review. And you see with the onion how I always say keep that back piece on because it stabilizes. So that is why we do that. Not an option with the potato, but that is why we do it. It's not as slippery. Repeat this again. And behind me, I'm just heating up a pan. Now, I love potatoes. I love hash. I find that hash is a great way to do what? Use all of your little bits of ingredients around the house. Now, initially, I was going to make a potato soup today. But if you are on the East Coast right now, the Northeast specifically, New York City even more specifically, it is insanely humid out there. And I just couldn't see myself making a soup. So I converted it to a hash. But just like a soup, a hash is a great way to use your little bits. And that's what we're going to do here. All right, so. All right. Potatoes, these nice little chunks. Oh, these are the rogue ones that kind of got in the way. I'm actually only going to do one of these. This is pretty large. I don't need both of those. It's just me. And then I'm going to also cut this red potato because I had one left over and I want to work it in. Now, I will say, red potatoes cook a little faster than the Idaho ones. So in the final dish, these will be a little softer and provide some dimension of texture in the dish. Yet again, we're going to keep these small. Get this off my knife. Now listen, you could totally make these things larger if you have a little more time. But if you want to get things done quickly, make them small. That's just a little trick, a little tip if you're trying to figure out how to cook something fast. If you ever watch TV shows like Chopped or any of those competition shows, you'll notice the people cut things really small because they're trying to make sure they get done in a quick time. They also use the pressure cooker a lot for things that they want tenderized or they want to cook quickly for the same reason. All right, so there we go, potatoes. I have a half of a red onion. Just want to finish it off. And now, if you did not have a red onion, you had a white onion or a Vidalia sweet onion or a yellow onion, you could use that too. I am using red because this is what I have. I'm going to actually drop these onions in behind me now. Get those going. This little one didn't get cut. All right, and this is a scallion. Probably only going to use half of it, but I really want a scallion. Now I know scallions look like onions, but they taste. No, this is not a scallion. Wrong ingredient. This is a shallot. Looks like an onion. It's part of the onion family, but has a different flavor profile. It's a little sweeter, and I don't know. It's funny because it tends to be used in like dishes and they're supposed to elevate them and it's supposed to taste so much better. Or like people in high-end restaurants use shallots versus onions or with onions, but shallots are a pretty humble ingredient. But I like them. I love these things roasted. Like if you take them and you make little slices, you roast them up in the oven, and then like put them on salad or put them on top of pasta or a grain that you're looking for a little texture and flavor. All about it. So throw these out. I just like shallots in the hash. They're a little sweeter when they cook down. Just another dimension of flavor that we layer at the top. Let me save this little half for something else. All right, then we're gonna get our good friends mushrooms in there. Get some vitamin D going. A little bit of umami. And normally I would slice these. This one has a little bit of dirt on it. I'm gonna wipe it off. You guys know I don't like soaking my mushrooms because they soak up the water. They absorb the water. You don't want them to absorb the water. So in this case, I'm actually going to cut these in little chunks, not in the traditional slice that I would. And that's to kind of keep it in the same texture family as the potatoes. And as you can see, I'm also cutting up the stems. Most people like to take their stems off and they're wondering, do you use stems? Yes, use the stems. They add some nice flavor. If you're just making, say, mushroom caps, you can hold the stems and throw them into like a broth or like a grain dish, or even cut them up and drop them into a salad later on. So say, for instance, stem, take it out. If you were going to stuff these, you can save those for later. They also are great in the broth. They give a nice layer of flavor. So for the people who don't necessarily like eating mushrooms, you can co-opt the flavor from those stems in your broths or any basis of your dishes. So yeah, I'm in the process. I don't know if I shared this with anybody, but I started growing mushrooms maybe 3-4 months ago. It was a little bit of a challenge initially. Growing mushrooms is a bit of an art, but I've gotten it down kind of to a science depending on the species. I'm starting on a new one now. One of them is called lion's mane. And the lion's mane mushroom feels a little bit like texturally like some form of seafood. So I'm really excited to try it. And it's a weird one because it requires air and humidity. So keeping that environment consistent can be a challenge. All right, getting these last little bits cut up. And hash is traditionally made with some type of meat, some type of corned beef, some type of crumpled sausage. So these mushrooms kind of take that place. All right, I'm gonna swap out cutting board. Potatoes sizzling up nicely. I'm about to put in some smoked paprika. You know, meat usually has a smoky note. Smoked paprika helps us with that. Good old garlic powder. Because, you know, who doesn't love garlic powder? Some onion powder. A nice salt replacement, and yet again another layer of flavor. And some fresh black pepper. just to mix the spices into it. You can see the onions are starting to become, and the shallots are becoming a little translucent. Then I'm going to add our little petite potatoes. This is a nice, like, quick dish. It batch cooked really well. It's great for, say, like Sunday lunch or afternoon lunch or first of the morning breakfast or a late night snack. So really, it's a good dish to just kind of have around. It's simple, it's satisfying, and you can make it your own. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water just to help it come together. Now, if you have some broth, you could use that. I don't have any right now. And I'm gonna put the top on. We're gonna let this cook down while we answer questions, and then we'll come back and see the final dish after. Oh, and before I go, I'm actually gonna also put a little bit of kale in at the end. So I'm just gonna let you guys know I'm gonna chop that up and add it. So, all right, I'm gonna come answer questions. See you in a second.
Right.
Hey.
So here we go. So some questions. If you're here with us live, type in your questions and comments. Speaking of which, we do have a question from Christine. Hey, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
So is a hot pot the same as a pressure cooker?
Oh,
if not, what's the difference? And what is best to
question.
include in your kitchen?
I do not know the question now. I don't know the difference between hot pot and pressure cooker. I want to say maybe not, but can I ask you a question about the hot pot? Does it have a valve where the pot locks before you can actually open it up? Like, that'll help me to determine if it's like how similar they are to each other.
Also, I just found on goodhousekeeping.com.
Okay.
Watch out. That, yeah, there is a difference.
Okay.
So the hot pot, or they say instant pot, is more than just a pressure cooker. So that's their
hold
response
on.
to
So
that.
I'm thinking hot pot like in like Caribbean and like also I believe the Japanese people have a hot pot. So I'm thinking that, but they're talking about like the Instapot hot pot. Got it. Yeah, it is different. So that one could do multiple things. Whereas the pressure cooker the pressure cooker is just a pressure cooker. Whereas if we're talking about that hot pot, Instapot, those things can be slow cookers. They can make cakes. I mean, they could do all kinds of interesting things in there.
Yeah. Christine's saying that, it does other things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference. You can use it as a pressure cooker, but you have other benefits as well.
Yeah.
What else could you do with that?
You can make a cake in it. You can slow cook in it as well. You can.
The first thing you said, you can make a cake. Wow. Okay. Have you done that before? Have you made a cake in?
I haven't made one. I know the process and I know people who have done it successfully. I've made a cake in a steam, like the steamer, those little bamboo steamers. I've made a cake in there. So it's a similar
Ah,
concept. So I'm sure it'll work.
could you do like muffins in there as well and brownies?
And it's like entirety, yes. So it has to be like
Mhm.
a big one. So you can't have like individual muffins, but you could
A
do like
huge muffin.
yeah, big muffin. Yes, and cut it into little slices. Could totally
Hey,
work.
you never know. Cornbread.
You could do cornbread.
Hmm. All right, so very interesting. Now, piggybacking off of Christine's question, Brandy, what I
Mhm.
want to ask is, does the average household need a pressure cooker?
It depends on what you're making. Now, the cool thing about pressure cookers is that it cuts your time down in cooking, especially when you're doing things like beans and grains. It makes things go fast. I mean, even if you're talking about, I mean, we don't talk about, we don't, talk about meat necessarily, but just because I have this knowledge, I'll share it. Like if you were cooking like a roast a lot, and you want it to be tender, the pressure cooker, the concept of a pressure cooker is that it builds up pressure in a pot so that it can help to accelerate the cooking process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very good. Yes. And Dre is saying, excuse me, you gotta know the correct way to use a pressure cooker.
Yes, you do. I mean, that is
Yeah.
true. Like pressure cookers are a bit of an art. Even putting the top on the pressure cooker
Yeah, I
is
don't understand that. How can they have this product that chefs use and home cooks that no one can get the lid on? When you were talking about watching, cooking competitions, it's always a problem. Even the top of the top chefs, they always go, "Oh, how do I get this on?" Excuse me, fix the engineering. But
It
go
is
ahead, Brandy.
they have not, like you said, they have not changed this since the beginning of time. Whatever manufacturer makes it differently. And a lot of people don't know that from a safety perspective, you can't take pressure cooker's top off until all of the pressure has released, because like a crap ton of steam will come up and it can be like Drea says, it could be really dangerous. You could really like burn yourself. And so, I mean, I have worked around trying to open up the pan sooner rather than later. And though I wouldn't recommend, I wouldn't
Like
recommend
jumping out
you
of the way.
you do it. It's like, right, you have to
You're like,
move. You need to like cover your cover your arm with like a towel. You can take the bottom of like a spoon or a fork. I know. Because you don't want that steam to
put on
get
a
you.
hazmat suit.
And then you push the little pressure valve down so that the steam can release out of it, and then that'll open up the pot. So
Okay, so the answer is no. Every household does not need a pressure cooker. Thank you for that. Yeah, and Christine is saying hot pot is similar.
mm-hmm.
Uh, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I
Uh-huh.
really think that's the hot pot is a more friendly version of the pressure cooker. I mean, the lid actually goes on easily all the time, which is helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so Christine's elaborating here. Valve. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. No thanks. Okay, now another question. Could you use frozen hash browns, instead of all that cutting and stuff you did?
Of course you can, Chance.
Yeah.
You can't, but you might have to still cut your veggies, right? Your fresh veggies, put them into the pan, let those cook down.
You can buy those cut.
Okay,
See,
well,
I'm always in the interest of people who don't have time for this nonsense or the energy. You can buy cut
you
onions
can.
and everything, sliced mushrooms.
Yeah.
All of that is done.
I mean, you can, but then when do you have time to like meditate through the preparation process?
I could meditate on my own. I don't need to use the prep process to do that. For a lot of us, that's not meditative. Now, if you're a cook, of course, you've taken care of that. But I got to speak for the microwave warriors out there, all of us who go, I'm not doing that. You can buy that Cascadian Farm frozen hash brown.
You
You can
can.
get your cut up onions and the sliced mushrooms. Maybe you just need to slice them a little more and then put it all
Yeah, you can
together.
put it in a pan. You can put you're right. You can put your Cascadian mushrooms in the oven, let those just kind of passively cook
Hash
down
browns.
your hash
Mm-hmm.
browns. Yes, into the oven, let them passively cook. saute your veggies that you're going to mix in, and then once they're done, just stir them in together. Yeah, that's a quick little hack.
You can't hold me back. Now,
Listen, I mean, Chauncey has. I mean, you've come a long way though, because I remember at one point Chauncey wasn't cutting up anything. I mean, he wasn't using onions because he didn't think you could buy them purchase. Remember that I told you about the pearl onions and they were frozen, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I could get some pearl onions." I mean, you have been on this journey.
yeah, and then I found the diced onion.
Yes, and then you evolved into that. Mm-hmm.
That's right, because I'm not cutting up an onion. I'm just not gonna. No, not gonna happen. Now, also with the whole pressure cooker, you can buy canned beans. So this is what I'm trying to tell you people. Try to help you.
In the event that you can't buy canned beans, have run out of canned beans.
Who runs out? You go right to the store. In certain stores, you can get them for like 50 cents a can.
Chauncey, we want to be prepared. As entrepreneurs, we want to be prepared for every situation.
Even no salt added.
You can. That is true.
Now, yeah. And if you're an entrepreneur, you should be prepared with your canned beans. That's what I'm saying. Now, could you eat the hash cold? Like some sort of potato salad or something?
You could. It's good. Mm-hmm. I've eaten it cold.
I know you have. See, you try to act like you all,
I'll pull something out of the refrigerator
all the time.
No, don't believe the hype. I'll eat oatmeal in a minute for dinner.
But is it? What do they call it? The overnight oats?
I don't do overnight oats.
Oatmeal takes like 3 minutes. Okay, not overnight. Now, if you love it, I support you. I think it's wonderful. I am not gonna have some oatmeal sitting out overnight to eat it in the morning. I'm just.
Listen, like you say, it's one less thing to do. If you have a busy, schedule, you can put it in your mixer jar and you grab it,
dump it into a bowl, and leave it somewhere overnight.
No,
look, yeah, but that's do that and throw it in the microwave.
That is a very passive act. I don't have to let it cool before I put it in my bag. Okay, I can put these ingredients into a jar, and when I'm running out the door in the morning, grab it and go.
You wait. So people are preparing it and taking the oatmeal out prepared?
Yes.
Okay, well, that explains a lot. Now, my final question. Can you always combine onions and scallions and shallots? If you wanted, could you always put them together? Or are there certain times in a savory dish when it should be one or the other?
I mean, there's no reason unless you just don't have them all. Like they're meant to dance together. So like if you got them, put them all into a pot.
Yeah. Yeah, most people are not going to have them all. I like the way you say that. We're not going to have them all.
Like I said, okay, you're in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And let me check. Let me check behind us. Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
Use this hand.
All right, it looks like we may have lost Brandy a bit there, so we'll do some troubleshooting, everybody, and we'll be right back. All right, here we go. So, Brandy, we have one more question from Christine. Deirdre's joined us. Hello to you.
How are you?
So let's get to that, and then we'll wrap up, and you can show us the rest of the recipe at the end. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right. So here we go. The question, you kind of mentioned it. How would you have converted this to a soup?
So if you're gonna do it with a soup, I would probably add in some celery and carrots. I always feel like celery and carrots just add that nice that familiar soup flavor to the dish. Some broth instead of water, just to kind of have some more some more like broth in the soup. And I would also, if you wanted it to be hearty, like super hearty, I would probably take half of the potatoes and kind of mash them and kind of whip them so it has like a nice like creamy base into that inside of that broth, and then keep some of the potatoes whole. That would be my soup conversion of this.
Maybe even the red potatoes, because they'd be softer.
Yeah,
you could use them. Yeah. All right. So that sounds good. It may be hot outside, but don't hate on soup on a hot day as long as you have air conditioning.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, let's wrap this thing up so we can see the conclusion of this dish. So, Brandy, again, tell us, EMP, what's going on?
Yeah, so EMP, thank you guys for joining us for EMP Review. EMP is a community for entrepreneurs looking for food for their mind, body, and business. What we do is we help you to infuse more plant-based foods into your life to increase your profit and productivity. Now, what are the tangibles? We give you plant-based recipes, shopping lists, meal plans, replays to these live EMP reviews, different events, activations, and opportunities to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs who want to make sure that they're just as healthy at the end of the journey while they're building their legacy. And we do that for a low investment of $30.23 per month.
Excellent. So we will be back next Wednesday, September 22nd at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time to continue We Love Potatoes. But now we're going to do a little transition. After the transition, the little break, Brandy's going to show us the conclusion of this wonderful recipe. Thanks, Chef.
Thanks. All right, as you can see, our potatoes have cooked down nicely. And we're going to stir in a little bit of kale just to give it some color, a little more flavor. And it's like super simple. You could have totally stirred in some spinach, some arugula, you know, anything. Some fresh parsley would have been nice in here as well. This is a simple dish. I'm going to just put it into a bowl. It's potatoes. You don't need to do anything fancy with it. And just give me 1 second so I can change position so you could see it better without all the steam in it. Give me 1 second. Here we go. And I personally love potatoes and tomatoes. So I got this pretty garden tomato from the grocery store. I'm just going to slice a couple of them to put into my dish. Give it a little color, but also just I just like the combination of potatoes and tomatoes. And I also like black pepper and tomatoes. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that on top. And there you have it. Like I say, super humble, simple, and yummy savory potato hash. So there you have it.